Hey guys, it's your boy Densuo, the king of salts. Saltiest boy in all of Gundam. So, I'm gonna talk about a bit of a topic that's been grinding my gears lately. I'm gonna make this the top video, the first video, excuse me, on my playlist for Gundam Battle Operation 2. Now, before I even get started, I'm just gonna go ahead and just be blunt before anything else. This is not intended for me to be trying to talk down to anybody. This isn't me trying to say I'm better than you or none of that stuff. This is just basic information I want to give you. If you're a newer player, or if you've been, having trouble winning in this game or just frustrated in general, then maybe this will help you out a little bit. This has to do with decision making and a bit of game sense. Because I've noticed that some people make some very bad decisions in this game, and that's what leads to people throwing the game, or having a game or match where we're winning and you throw the game away and we end up losing. Now, I'm not talking about griefers who run around and get butthurt when they get downswung by a teammate once by accident and then they decide to just go AFK at the enemy's base or something like that. I'm not talking about those people. Nobody cares about them. They're unimportant. If you're one of those kinds of people, uninstall the game. We don't need you. If you're gonna, people get mad. I get mad too. Like I said, I'm the king of salts. But if you're just gonna run around and get upset because somebody hit you by accident one time, then you're probably tilting because of a previous match, and you need to, either step out of the game or consider playing a different game. Because at the end of the day, it's still, even if we do get salty, it's still a game. If you're not having fun, play something else. The game is still gonna be here. It's a free-to-play game. The game will still be here while it's still being offered by Bandai Namco. Anyway, let's get to the discussion that's been annoying me. But before we do that, let's pick a suit that I think will be useful in this little discussion. I'm gonna pick the map that had me annoyed today, and that's Deserted City. So let's go ahead and load in. Let's talk. So what are some things that we can do to be better at this game? One thing I like to do is I like to have what I like to call routes. So having a route, what I mean by that? When you have a route, that means a route to, for example, go capture a point. So let's say we spawned it on this map right here. One thing I like to do is to go ahead and just capture this point first. I tend to do this if I'm a raid or if I'm a pretty speedy general. I'll have it down to the point where I can quickly go ahead and cap a point and get back to my team. Now, having routes to cap points is great as a raid, it's great as a general, but you really shouldn't be doing this as a support. So, if you're playing a general, if you're playing a support, do me a favor, do your support a favor, alright? Your support is more than likely slower than you are, alright? Your support is probably slower than you are. Not everybody can be a Dom, multi-cannon type, alright? Those have a good boost speed and they can get around. But if you're a raid, if you're a general, you should be the one capping the point, because your supports are slow and their job is to get into position to start dunking ammo on the enemy. Because remember, the typical loadout for a 5-man match is 3 generals, 1 raid, 1 support. And for a 6-man match, it's usually 4 generals, 1 raid, 1 support. Sometimes you'll get 3 and then either 1 raid and 2 supports, etc., etc. But more often than not, at the minimum, half of the team is going to be composed of generals. So it's imperative that your support, who's already slow as it is, get into position and start laying down fire. Please do not leave capping points to your support. If you're doing that, you're going to pay for it. Now, what's the thing that ticked me off today? This. So let's get to it. This map is huge, as you can tell. There's plenty of spots where you can change altitude. You get spots to go ahead and aim at. Plenty of spots. There, you have the building over there, which is a nice spot to go ahead and get some shots in. You have the building over there on that side. You also have this little building right here. You can get on that one. Sometimes I like seeing, I know Gunner Gundams love picking people off from over here. Sometimes you can get some shots off on this side as well. There's a lot of places here to shoot. Now, why am I talking about that? The reason why I'm talking about that is because positioning is important in this game, right? This is why you want to have the supports get to their place first. But the reason why I mentioned this particular command here, F1 retreat, is because this game, okay, in normal matches, in ace matches, it's about who has more points at the end of the game. For simple match, for mix-up, it's the same thing. The only difference is that in mix-up, you start off with a certain amount of points and they go down as you get killed. So, you need to realize something, okay? If your team is winning and you've got less than a minute to go and the enemy is camping, run away. Retreat. Like if we're here where I'm standing right now in the map and my team is winning, and I turn and we decide, you know what, we need to leave. Boost backwards. Alright, don't just turn around, just boost backwards. That way you can pay attention, and then once you're in a clear area, then go ahead and turn around and bounce. But if you know for a fact that you're still in a place where you may be in line of fire, then you want to boost backwards, because usually most suits, when they boost backwards, if they have a shield, they're going to have it covering them somewhat. Then when it's safe to go ahead and turn around, then go ahead and do so. You might want to run back to base. You might want to go and set up somewhere where you can hold up and be in a position to where if the enemy is chasing you, which they're going to have to do, then you're in an advantageous position to punish them for it. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning that, right? There are some players, and I'm going to make a reference to fighting games here. There are some players out there that get upset when you turtle, when you play defensive. Oh, you're a coward, you're playing without honor. No one cares about that. Okay? We're playing to win. We're playing to win. That's the whole point of competition, or playing a game like this. You're trying to win. Alright? You get more experience when you win. You get more cash when you win. You likely beat your rival when you win. So it benefits you to actually win the game. It's the same thing for monthly achievements. There are winning a certain amount of battles, playing a certain amount of battles, beating your rival a certain amount of time. But here's the thing. I've noticed that there's a lot of people that don't pay attention when you see simple orders like this. Or when you have people asking for help. When you use a signal, right? Because if you see here, you have chat 1, 2, 3, you have signal. When you hit signal, your team is going to see your number come up when you're doing a signal. That could be either asking for help, pointing out that there's a stealth unit around your area, pointing out that you're seeing a sniper, etc., etc. Pay attention when your teammates do this. Now, while I'm saying that, let me defend not responding sometimes. If you're a support, you shouldn't be at max range. That goes doubly for you guys that like to play sniper suits. If you're playing at your maximum range, 1, you're making it harder for you to land shots. 2, you're probably restricting your field of view in some maps like this one. And 3, if that stealth raid decides to actually close in on you properly, no one's going to be able to save you. You're too far. So if you have a general that says, oh, I should go help my support, they're going to turn around and see you're halfway down across the map, and then they're going to say, oh, never mind, you're too far. Sucks to suck. Back on topic about running away. Again, if you're winning, just run. They have to come to you. When you're in the game, as long as you didn't hold L3 to make your top left screen not show your team, you're going to be able to see your team's health. Okay? If your team is running low on health and you have a very small lead, run away. Because if anything, you can get behind healthier teammates and still contribute to the fight. You need to realize that. Now, another thing that we got to talk about too, right? Pay attention to your team. Pay attention to pings that asking for help. Pay attention to when they're doing those things. Not everybody is, salty and not trying to do anything useful. Pay attention to what's going on. Look at your radar when you're fighting, right? Not only that, but if you have a support, you're going to notice that that the enemy's health is going to be listed right above their head. You don't see it here. You're only going to see it, if I'm not mistaken, when you hit them. But if your team has frontline support, you're going to see it. That makes you aim at them, obviously. But again, pay attention to what's going on in the match. If you're winning and they're not, and the enemy is like playing defensive or camping or what have you, you are under no obligation to bring the fight to them. You're winning. You make them come to you. Make them go into a situation where they have to put themselves at risk. That's what happens when you're losing. You have to you have to push. You have to step forward and you have to take a chance to make a play. You don't have to make a play when you're winning. They got to come to you. So don't. This stuff isn't rocket science. Like, pay attention to the map. Pay attention to what your team is doing. If you're winning and the match is almost done, pop a command. Yo, retreat. And the other thing, too, because sometimes people are going to want to try to take over the game as far as barking orders. Respond to them. Respond to them. If you see somebody going and they're mad and they're saying, hey, let's stick together. There's nothing toxic about that. Pop them an okay. Go over there. They're asking for help. Pop an okay. Go over there. Help them. I guarantee you, when you help people out in this game, it's going to pay off. Usually, when I help somebody out, that usually makes them stick with me. Usually. You have a support that's asking for help and you save them, that's more time that support is going to be able to put damage out onto the enemy generals. And that's going to help you turn the tide. Not only that, but if you help the support that's asking for help, it's more than likely a raid that's over there beating the crap out of them. And since you're a general, you have type advantage. There you go, you just save them. Or you could be the raid that is playing, let's say for example, the G-line assault armor, where you're helping the support lay down fire. You can be there, you can defend them from an enemy raid. You have that shotgun for close range, stagger them, hit them with the lunge, get it over with. Right? It's still a 2-on-1. Even if it is neutral in class damage. But you have to pay attention as to what's going on. It's not just landing your bazooka combos. Alright? It's not just landing your stun rifles. It's not just landing your whatever it is stagger into melee. Alright? There's nothing wrong with using a machine gun, laying down fire and leading into stuns and playing it safe. You can do that too. You can be a buddy. Nothing wrong with being a buddy. Now, same thing when it comes to the decision making and all that stuff. What about repairing? I've made a video about this before, but this also bears repeating here. If you're in a situation where, let's say you got into a team fight and you wipe them, you can heal. Get out of your suit, go ahead and repair. Or, if you're healthy, go ahead and push a quick reload. Push a quick reload on your weapons. Nothing wrong with that. You're going to go ahead and cycle out your weapons, and then you'll be ready for the next fight. Now, of course, remember, if you are doing a reload, reloads will stop if you get out of your suit to repair. So make up your mind if you're going to do, reload all your weapons and cycle them, or if you're going to step out and repair. Alright? If you know what you're doing with the suit, then you shouldn't have any issues when it comes to cycling weapons and all that, so you're likely going to be doing a bit of repair work. But please pay attention to what's going on. This game is not hard. A lot of times you're going to win matches simply because you decided, you know what, I'm going to stick with my team. Or because you decided, you know what, we're going to back off because we're winning. So let's go over some other things that you should also pay attention to. Pay attention to your role. Know your role. And shut your mouth. you're playing the raid, if you're not able to get to the support, that's okay. That's okay. Another there's other things that you can do as a raid other than get the support. If you're not able to get the support, in other words, your only option is to wade through a bunch of generals, you're going to die. And nobody wants you to act as bait like that, because all that's going to do is get you deleted, and now you're one man down, and the enemy support is going to have confidence because his team took out the raid, and now he basically has some time where he basically gets to fire at the generals with impunity. So, like for example, with this suit, I'm running around with a machine gun. I also have these Vulcans that I can fire while boosting. Also have these missiles, which I can also fire. Oh yeah, I cannot. These don't fire while boosting. These are the stop and go. Damn you, BD1, why are you so bad? Anyway, one thing you can do with this suit, for example, is you can just stick with your team and just harass. You land enough hits, you're going to stagger them. That includes if you hit their shield. So if you're not able to get to the raid, that's okay. Oh, excuse me, if you're not able to get to the enemy support, that's okay. Help your generals push. Because as soon as you help them push and win the main skirmishes, then you're going to have those opportunities to branch off, break off, and go after the enemy support. So don't just think, I gotta get the support, I gotta get the support, I gotta get the support. Think, let's make an opening. If you're not able to flank, because the generals are in a position, the enemy generals are in a position where they're basically protecting their support properly, then your option is going to be to either stick with your generals and create opportunities for them. For example, like let's say if this is my team right here, you can just stay behind them. Stay right behind them. And you can just shoot. If you have a suit that has a machine gun, then that's fine because you're probably not going to stagger your partner. And if anything happens, you can shoot at them, or you can just step in and you can tackle them real quick. There's plenty of times where you're going to see your general get popped by a bazooka, and then the enemy general, because they're brainless and they want to go in for the downswing, they're going to go for the downswing. And what happens? You're just going to step up in front of them and tackle them, and next thing you know, that general of yours that just got staggered, just got saved from getting knocked down and taking who knows how much more damage. So think about what you're going to do as a raid. Yes, you should be prioritizing the support, but if you're not able to get to the support, again, help your generals push. Your job should not just be running off solo. You can, but if the option isn't the best one, help your generals push. A lot of raids are able to help them push. If you're a general, your main job is to push forward and take control of the general battlefield. Right? If you're getting into a position where you can 1v1, then yeah, land that bazooka combo and go ahead and do what you gotta do. Land a stun, do what you gotta do. But also don't forget that you also have the responsibility of protecting your raids, creating opportunities for your raids, protecting your supports. You have to pay attention, and a lot of that can be solved by looking at your freaking radar. There are so many times when the only reason why I didn't get hit by something was because I'm in a position like here where I see the enemy is, doing something. I look at my radar and say, oh no, this guy's behind me, and then I quickly duck behind cover or something. Look at your radar, And also, just because you landed the stun or the stagger with a beam rifle or a bazooka or something, that doesn't mean you have to go for the melee every single time, guys. If you landed the stagger, take out your saber and go at them. Let them burn their roll. The next thing you know, now you know they can't roll anymore. The next thing you know, you stagger them, and then you're going to get your free melee. Your team is going to, as long as you got competent teammates, yeah, I know. They're going to notice that guy burned his roll, and he's going to probably back off, because now he knows he's vulnerable. So don't just think in terms of damage, think in terms of positioning. As a support, you need to know your ranges, that's 1. You need to be very good at cycling your weapons, that's 2. And you need to realize that sometimes you got to stick with your team also. I get it. You're using a cannon suit. You got a suit that has a lot of range. But you also got to think, if you're too far to where, you know what? Think about it. Look at your map. Look at where your team is. If you think, you know what, I'm too far from my team, move up. I get it. When you're up on like something like here, where you got a nice little perch and you're able to just pick people off for days, remember, if you're too far, they cannot save you from a raid. And the other thing that means is, if the raid is, if you're too far, one, they can't help you. Two, if the teammate turns around to have to look at where you are, and then they realize that they can't even do anything about it, it's possible that they're going to end up getting hit. So now you're being a distraction. So don't be afraid to move up also. Don't be too far. Not only that, but go into practice mode and don't just think about spots like this or like places over there where you can just perch and do damage. You know? Step forward also. You need to move up with your team. At the end of the day, this is still a team. And if you're stepped up with them, you're in a position where they can protect you and react to you faster. Not only that, but if you're closer to them and if you're in a formation with them, then that also protects you from those obnoxious raids. If I'm here and I'm a support, let's say I'm over here probably, this gives me enough vision to see where they're at. I still have access to my radar, depending on the suit, and you can screen for them and protect them. But you're also at the point where you're close enough to where if you see a raid coming at you, trying to flank you, you can just step forward and get to where your team is, and they can protect you. So yeah, that kind of covers everything. Please use your heads. If you're gonna if you're gonna run around in this game, you need to be aware of the situation. You need to be aware of what's going on, because if you don't, you're setting yourself up for failure, and all you're gonna do is frustrate yourself with your teammates. So yeah, pay attention. Look at what's going on in the match. Give it some actual serious thought. You know, this is a game where we're ultimately trying to have fun, but playing the game to have fun is no excuse to just play poorly. You can play a low tier suit. That's fine. There's plenty of people that I've seen that play suits that are quote unquote not meta or quote unquote bad, and they'll still carry. You know, that's not the point. But you can have the best suit in the game. You can run level 1 Gundam Mark II, which is a beast in its prime cost, and you'll still lose because you don't know what you're doing and you're not paying attention. So pay attention to what's going on. Look at your radar. Make up your mind on what you need to do. Don't tunnel. You know, always keep your head on a swivel. If you're not able to flank as a raid, stick with your team. If you have a long range support, don't be at max range. Remember how far you are in reference to your team and how they'll be able to respond if you do need help. Remember and think, if you know that there's going to be stealths in this particular map, like this map for example, Deserted City, this is a paradise for raids that are stealthy, catching people that aren't paying attention. So know your perch spots, but also remember that just because you prefer to be perched up, camping and laying down fire, that doesn't mean you can't step up and do something also. So yeah, that covers everything. Use your heads. If you use your head a little bit, I guarantee you it's going to lead up to you winning a lot more matches, I promise. See you in the battlefield. 6 on.